Hi everyone, Josh Knight the First here again with another Exade replay, coming to you with episode 20 of the series. Let's get right into it. So this week we have more of the same. We've got the opening moved to the back of the episode, but the episode was a little more simple this week. I'm not sure if that's really the best thing, considering the trend that they've been having in the show for the last couple of weeks, but we'll get to that later. Really, this episode was pretty cut and dry, so I don't imagine we'll be spending too much time on it, but let's go ahead and start with our patient for this week. So at the outset of the episode, we see that Snipe has tricked Taiga into going out to a theme park to just basically have a day off, where lo and behold we have our Bugster patient for the week. Now some of you might be wondering, what exactly is that theme park that they're at? It looks really cool. This theme park happens to be known as Fuji Q Highland. It's right at the base of Mount Fuji. It's been there since 1968. It's a very popular attraction there in Japan. If you have the chance, definitely go check it out. Later on in the episode, you see that some of the rides that they ride on there are some of the big name attractions there. The Takabisha, the Doronpa, these very notable roller coasters that people from all over the world come to check out. So at the outset, we see that they're coming out of this attraction known as the Haunted Hospital. Yes, that is the actual name of the attraction there at Fuji Q. They just happen to run into our patient for this week, who's a young man who's a bit nervous. He has a good reason though. He's going on a date. He's got this girl in his class that he really likes. She invited him out to the park, but he's got a phobia of roller coasters and heights and basically fun that he needs to overcome, and this is what the Bugster is using to manifest himself. So as we've seen up until this point, we've got three very capable common writers who are capable of taking care of this. The thing is, they don't all try at the same time. Taiga will get his shot towards the end of the episode, but right here at the beginning, we see Hiro still trying to use out that level 50 Gashot that he just got last episode. Now we see here that we're still building off the story that we're getting from last episode, that Hiro has this power, but he's still not used to it. He's still not of a gamer mindset, much less able to physically handle the power of this level 50 Gashot of Tattle Fantasy. Taiga is aware of this, and he'll get his shot, like I said later on, but I do like that we're being consistent with the storytelling here. It wasn't just a one-off like, I was a little bit weak and then I got over it. No, he's still having to struggle with it. This is just something else that he'll have to overcome. And admittedly, he's able to hold his own fairly well against the Bugster, which is the revived Jet Combat Bugster that we've seen earlier in the series, but he's also going up against Paradox. Now Paradox, again, I love that we're seeing this side of him where there's an honor to his Bugster self. He doesn't want to take the easy win. He doesn't want to just have a win handed to him. He wants a fair, good, honest fight. And that's something that's honorable as a gamer, much more so a villain for a series. That adds to the drama that'll develop as a result. It also helps grow the series that we see that it's not just Emu that he's focusing on. He's saying he has options. If Hiro can step up his game, maybe he can provide the game that he wants to have. Who knows? Now, as I said, we have three common writers, but we're not exactly using all of them at the same time. Now, Emu has a problem. Obviously, as we've seen over the last couple of episodes, he has the Bugster virus. Now he knows it. Since he just got his right mind back after the events of last episode, he's very hesitant, and with good reason. We're pretty much confirming that the M gamer portion of him is the Bugster that he kind of lets take over him every time he's transformed into Exade, with the exception of Mighty Brothers XX over the last couple of episodes. But now he's much more reserved about wanting that to come out. He doesn't want the Bugster to take over, because if that happens, not only is it game over for him, that's one less person who can help everybody else who has Bugster virus. Now we do see some genuine concern on the parts of Asuna and Hiro in regard to Emu. Hiro's telling him, look, if anything bad happens to you, it will reflect badly on me as a doctor, so we can't let that happen. But we're starting to see that he does kind of genuinely care. Asuna, on the other hand, is keeping him focused. Look, if there's nothing we can do about it right now, you're still a doctor, you can still do your job on that end, make the patient happy, make them smile again. That's important. So as I was talking about last episode, we see that that episode specifically was meant for Hiro's growth as a character. This episode, much the same, we're seeing it focus on Taiga growing as a character. Now, we've seen him grow consistently over the course of this series, but here we're seeing little bits and pieces just like they've been giving us, but they're being put together in a more cohesive form based off all the information we already have on him. So after the fight with Paradox, we see that Hiro is very much drained of his ability to fight. He can't really do his job as a doctor, much less a common writer, so he gets to be treated by Hiro and Snipe. Really, Snipe's just kind of there for set dressing, but, you know, whatever. So we see that Hiro still has that pride as a doctor. He still wants to be the one that solves everything. No one can cut like I can, you know, he's almost got that Gaston-like, you know, bravado about him, but, you know, that's his character. We've seen that so far. with Taiga, he seems to have this much deeper, reserved reason for wanting to do what he's doing. Now, we're going to get a taste of that later on once we see these net movies of him in episode 0, but we're starting to get more of a taste of that here in the show. We see that not only does Hiro want to be the best, he's also still very mad at Taiga, and for a good reason. He still blames him for the death of his girlfriend earlier on in 0 Day. But at this point, Hiro doesn't realize that Taiga has taken that in as a part of himself. He tells him, you can go ahead and do what you want, think what you want, but I've got nothing left to lose. That's why I should be the only Kamen Rider out there on the field. See, at that point, we realize that what happened in 0 Day has changed him. When the Bugsters first arrived, he was the first Kamen Rider on the scene that was brought in by the CR and Genmu. What happened changed him. Now, we don't know exactly what that is yet, because we haven't had those episodes, but we see that it's done something to him on a personal level. That's why it means so much to him to defeat the Bugsters. Yeah, he'll keep saying this stuff to Hiro or to Emu about, I'm gonna take your ga shots, or I should be the only Kamen Rider, but we see that he's got something bigger motivating him, and that's positive as far as telling a good story here. Not only is it positive towards Hiro in being able to show Hiro that he's not the only person who can be capable of doing these operations, he also kind of roundaboutly motivates Emu into fighting, because he tells him, you know what, if you're not going to fight, just leave your ga shots there, I'll take it from here. But Emu takes that as motivation. You know, he's still a doctor, he can still do his job. And I think that's pretty much what Taiga meant. Even though he tells him on a constant basis, no, I'm going to take your ga shots, maybe he does care a little bit more. And it's nice that we're getting levels to that character. But of course, this whole episode has to culminate in the arrival of this new form for Snipe using the level 50 Bang Bang Simulation gamer form. Now, in this form, Snipe becomes a one-man battleship, literally. He doesn't have nearly the problems that Hiro had controlling the ga shot, since we do see that Genmu decided to put both Bang Bang Shooting and Tattle Quest into a stronger form with Tattle Fantasy and Bang Bang Simulation, so he says he's got half ownership of this, and he's got it. Granted, most of the fight is CG, but you pretty much get the gist of it. He's just shooting, he's standing there letting the cannons do all the work for him, he gets his shot off, defeats the Jet Combat Bugster, no problem. And again, going back to last week, I didn't think that there was much to do with the bad guys last week, there's even less to do with them this week. Yes, we're seeing Pyrodox develop as a character, but Genmu, Kuroto Dan, he's kind of, plateauing here. He's still going on about the same thing, so I have to finish Kamen Rider Chronicle, I've got to defeat all these other riders and get these other Bugsters out on the field because I need 5 more. He's halfway there at this point because we're still based off the original 10 ga shots that we were introduced to at the beginning of the series. But at this point, I'm starting to wonder if we're getting a little weak on the villain side. So I think we're going to need a better story as far as Kuroto Dan is concerned. Because yes, we've gotten growth out of Emu, we've gotten growth out of Hiro, we've gotten growth out of Taiga, heck, we've gotten even a little bit of growth out of Asuna. But Kuroto Dan as a villain, which I very much liked his portrayal of thus far in the series, he's kind of falling into a rut here. You would think that after so many weeks of watching him not get defeated by a final attack and then sucking up the Bugster information into his Buggle Driver, that somebody would have caught on or said something or tried to stop him. No, we're seeing this continually happen for at least 5 good episodes now, and nobody's said anything about it, and they can clearly see him doing it. It also looks a little bit more cheap when you start to realize that he's got more hacks than you want him to have. It's one thing that he's a zombie and he can regenerate after a final attack. It's something completely different when he starts saying, oh, by the way, I'm not just level 10, I'm level X, I'm something unknown, I can be whatever I want, I'm the king. And it's like, dude, really? Like, if you want me to invest in the series, what you've gotten me to do thus far, you've got to give me something to grasp onto. Now, the thing about it is, yes, this is a children's television show that we're all watching and we all love, but you still have to worry about suspension of disbelief to a certain extent. So when you have your villains start to just throw stuff out there like, oh, I can do whatever I want, it's basically like Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He just has powers at the ready, and then it becomes kind of cheap. And at that point, I'm starting to agree with Palad, like, dude, just finish Kamen Rider Chronicle and get on with it, because at this point, you're starting to get boring, and that's a bad thing. Now, maybe we will get some of that development next week when we see that Kuroto Dan's dad, funny pun, does come back into the story, and we see that we're going to see more of his power being displayed. So hopefully this will grow him as a character, and not so much as a kind of a weak boss, because he's hiding behind all that power and doesn't have anything to bolster himself up. But the thing about it is, we're at the 2/5 mark of the series, we've gotten through that much this far, they've done well up to this point. I would hate to see them fall to the side a little bit before we see some of these power-ups coming in that we've seen in these recent magazine scans. And that's it, that's pretty much what they gave us for the week. So compared to other weeks, this story wasn't nearly as meaty as what we've had, so I'm wondering why it was necessary to still have Daichi Miura's Exite placed at the end of the episode. I'm pretty sure we could have cut about a minute and a half to put it at the beginning like we're used to. But maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get it back next episode. But for the time being, you guys tell me what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Which form do you like better, level 50 Snipe or level 50 Brave? Do you think Genom is getting too hacks with his power usage? And do you think you would be able to visit Fuji-Q Highland? If you have the chance, get out there. And of course, during the week, you can always talk to me over on social media. On Twitter, I'm at JoshKnight1st. This has been Exade Replay for episode 20 of the series Take Off Against the Wind. I'm Josh Knight the First. I'll see you guys again next week.